Ruji explained that he wanted to rest, but the other man ordered him to leave the team immediately. He asked in surprise what had happened, and the other sharply reproached him for his uselessness during the battle. Ruji confirms that he is the mage of the distribution and support of the squad, and the interlocutor explains the need to produce raw materials or magic stones to enhance the team's technique. They discuss that he will not do the same work as swordsmen and sorcerers, and therefore their rank is not raised. He stated with determination that despite their second-class status, he would not recognize an interlocutor who was still in third place. Ruji explains that at this rate he'll be in the third tier for the rest of his life, and the other man says that it was originally their group but he was forced into it. He accuses his interlocutor of setting up the situation from the very beginning so that he would be excluded from the team by forcing him to take Minori and Suzu out. Ruji demands the return of all the magic stones he borrowed, and the other man argues that the stones belong to the team and warns not to accuse without evidence. He warns that the note talks about borrowing stones, and if he doesn't return them, he'll have to leave. He reports that there are not enough magical sublimation stones, and the other reacts to this with surprise. Ruji warns not to underestimate the delivery mage and praises the throw, while another character demands to shut up and not let them take advantage of it. He says goodbye to Guy and asks him to look after Minori and Suzu. He admitted that he had something in mind, but no concrete plans, and added that he had left, leaving his half-sisters behind. He decides not to form a team with him and says that he will start looking for accomplices, and the two girls discuss why one of them bears a great burden. Ruji brushes off the question of being kicked out of the team, saying it's none of his business. She says she can't help in battle, but she can create potions, and the other one is indignant that she doesn't want to share achievements when he does nothing. He stands with his back to her, and she says that she has already decided to join the Berserker team. She says he'll only get in the way and then wishes him luck, after which he looks at her silently. He asked if he could sit at their table, addressing the girl who was sitting with her eyes closed. Ruji tells her friend that she transferred to another team and that he was kicked out of it, and she asks in surprise who he is. He apologized for eavesdropping on the conversation, and she replied that it was okay. Ruji introduced himself as a third-rank magician, and Lena replied that she was an alchemist of the same rank. He listens silently as she explains that her team has just disbanded. He handed her a handkerchief and asked her to wipe away her tears, and she thanked him. He says they're like exiled soulmates and offers to drink to that, and she agrees, but notes that she can't drink alcohol. He explained that leader Guy told him to leave the team and added that they were in a similar situation. Ruji agreed to switch to informal address, despite her reminding him that she was younger than him. He asked Lena to show him one of her potions. She agreed and explained that you can touch the bottle, but it's better not to remove the cap and the needle. She explains that it took a long time to create the special potions and suggests using magic to see what's inside. He activates the fire and bomb magic effect, analyzing the radius and power, and then says wow in surprise. She says in surprise that it is even more powerful than Suzu's magic and the sorcery of the mages from the Berserk team, and she cannot believe it. Ruji asked if she just made things, and she replied that she wanted to make good things despite the difficulties and Mari's comments. He is surprised, and she says that now she can make better potions and hopes that this will help someone in difficult times. He says he's proud of his technique and feels the value of the moment, and she asks, surprised, what he means. The elf happily called out to Ruji, who turned to her at the table in surprise. One asks for beer and meat, promising to carry out an order, and the other sharply refuses and tells him not to play the fool. He introduced himself as a second-class adventurer and asked who was helping the city prosper, and the man explained that the meat he had ordered was currently unavailable. He is surprised that someone is already drunk, and she asks what he will do in this situation. Ruji said that it was unfair to make an offer without showing his skills, and confirmed this with the word, exactly. He abruptly asks to borrow the potion, and she, surprised, agrees. Another man called out Ruji's name, addressing him with surprise and tension. He asked him to be quieter and not to cause inconvenience to others, to which his interlocutor was surprised and asked what he wanted. He criticizes the third-rank mage with distrust and irritation, and Ruji listens silently without responding. He reflects on why everyone coped with this discharge and notes that there are many other important things besides it. Ruji explains the wind technique and delivery magic, stating that he is fighting on the front lines, while the other demands to stop the nonsense. He attacks the enemy with force, declaring that this is their pride, and the enemy falls, choking from the blow. He runs down the corridor in panic, while the other three watch what is happening with surprise and alarm. Ruji smiles, and those around him admire and admit that what they saw was powerful, although they don't understand what exactly happened. The elf is surprised how he did it, and he suggests paying the bill first and leaving. Ruji praised Lena's potions and said that if he used them all up, there would be nothing left of the bar. He confirmed that he had strengthened his wind technique, and she clarified that it was his gift magic. He explained that he directed the flame in the right direction and weakened its power with wind so as not to cause serious injury to the enemy. He explains to Lena that he can enhance the effect or improve the convenience of the potion by using the delivery technique using an example. He asked if she would be okay with creating a team together, and she said she agreed and fell in love with his potions as a master. Ruji suggests joining forces and setting up a workshop to live comfortably and become great alchemists and magicians of the gift. She agreed to the proposal with a smile and tears in her eyes. Someone called Ruji's name near the building with the clock showing 3 o'clock. The man asks if it's true that he left the Berserker team and is leaving the city, to which the woman confirms his words. He admitted that he didn't want to quarrel within the team, and she thanked Imin for his long-term cooperation and asked if Lena would like the same. He asks how Minori and Suzu are doing, and she replies that they seem to be on Team Berserk. Ruji explains that he has 2 half-sisters, a mage and a swordsman, and she asks in surprise if that's true. He turns to the master and asks him to give the parcel to the sisters, but not to show it to Guy. He thought silently, then said that he understood and would pass the information on to them. He asked where they were going to go, to which one of them replied that they would first take a rest in a distant city and then organize a workshop. He wished to meet again and warned to be careful, adding that Minori and Suzu would be under his supervision. He thanked her, and she wished him health in return. Ruji confirmed that he wanted to go to Solstad, where the magic stone mine was located and a road suitable for the workshop passed by. He says it will take half a month to get there on foot, and she understands that the journey will be very long, but it will reduce transportation costs. He explained that he had been kicked out of the team and his income was 0, but there was enough time so they would go slowly, and she agreed that they needed money to open the workshop. He expressed hope for fruitful cooperation, and she wished them both good luck. He noticed knights in armor and assumed that they were warriors of the royal army under the night sky with the moon and clouds. A group of armed men threaten, and one of them orders Mrs. Tsetu to stand back, suspecting robbers. He threatens that he will not repeat the request, demanding that she leave everything valuable, and she watches him tensely. 2 characters are talking against a backdrop of trees, and he suggests spending the night there. He and she discuss his arrival in Saltstadt and the reasons why he became a gift mage around a campfire in the evening. He told her that the Sakura Empire was located on the eastern bridge of the mainland, and she replied that her homeland was located there. Ruji explains the origin of the country's name from the cherry blossom tree and questions whether it's worth looking at now due to internal unrest. She asked about internal unrest, and he told her that he lost his parents at the age of 12. Ruji said that he took with him Minori and Suzu, their half-sisters, who, like him, lost their parents due to the riots, and they left the country. He said that they were picked up by a teacher and taught survival techniques, to which the interlocutor replied that it was terrible. He explained that he still doesn't know her name, and so he simply calls her teacher. He said that the teacher was strict, taught him basic magic and combat, noticed his abilities and helped him find recognition, and also treated elves like she did. He explained that he couldn't leave her because he couldn't stand how others didn't understand her values and used her. Ruji apologized for his actions, and she reassured him by saying that they were like soulmates, and she was glad he spoke to her. He said that everything was fine then, looking away. He remembered that she had shown potions at the bar and promised to show her the magic stones. to which she happily agreed. He explains that magical stones are similar to precious stones, but their effect depends on the skill of cutting. Ruji and the elf are discussing the effects of the diamond, cold, and sealing stones when she suddenly notices something. He asks what's going on, and she explains that there are sounds of fighting ahead and probably robbers. Ruji hears the sounds of fighting and offers to go help the people, asking if he can fight, fearing that they too will be targeted by the robbers. She suggested they hurry, and he agreed and said that he would demonstrate the effect of the magic stones in a real fight. He noticed the dulling of his opponent's movements, asking what was going on, and he silently concentrated on the attack. Ruji heard the call for help and asked Lena to distract the enemies, promising to protect Lady Tseta and urging them not to panic. She summoned fire arrows to burn the enemies ahead, while another character was surprised by the appearance of reinforcements. Ruji demands permission to attack, then delivers a powerful kick to his opponent, who exclaims "You!" in shock. He doubts the abilities of his opponents, while another warns that a surprise awaits them from behind. Ruji stands calmly despite the blow the other man gave him, raising his hand up. He explains the effect of the diamond stone, while others are surprised that the sword bounced off. Ruji deflects the enemy's physical attack, and she orders the use of the electric net spell to envelop the enemies. He asked if everything was okay. She thanked him for his help, and the other man admitted that he had not had time to tell Mrs. Tsetu. Ruji explained that they had set up camp nearby for safety, thanked them for their help, and asked them not to worry about the circumstances. She carefully offers the night healing potions for his troops, apologizing for the possible inappropriateness of the request. Ruji explains that he got a wound from a branch, and the other says that they have scratches and blood, but the wounds are light. He pours the liquid and she asks in surprise what he is doing, noticing that he is holding the bottle as if it were his hand. He assures that there is nothing suspicious about the potions and asks if they are taken. He asked where they were going, and another agreed to take him along, while the third expressed his agreement and said, "Come on, kid." He said, "But," and she replied that the responsibility would be hers. Ruji introduced himself and apologized for using the potion without permission, and she replied that she was scared and invited him to come again if he liked the potions. He explains that the knight's caution was natural, and she says that it is unpleasant that his kindness was doubted. She said it was like Ruji, and he agreed to rest today and set out tomorrow with renewed energy, deciding to return to camp. Schoen is the port city of Salzstadt, a key point of the Baystein Kingdom in the southwest of the continent with a harbor. She admitted that the city wasn't as lively as she thought, and the girl agreed that the Adventurers Guild was also in bad shape. 2 people asked to transfer to a guild, and the woman confirms that the place is Salzstadt. The image shows an important transport hub by the sea, a road to the north and east, and a nearby mine, describing a place called Salzstadt. She clarified that the situation changed a year ago. The mines were closed due to a decline in the production of magic stone, and the port was not restored after the earthquake. Ruji noted that he had not expected such a turn of events, while another person explained that new roads and alternative routes had reduced the number of people entering and leaving the city. The employee asks him if he is sure about applying to the guild, to which the girl with the staff replies that she also agrees if he decides. He admitted that, to be honest, and she replied that she had a good reason to move to this particular guild. Ruji said that everything was fine and there was no need to worry, and she replied that she had heard the reason and was prioritizing it. He announced the completion of the translation and hoped for fruitful cooperation, to which she replied that she also agreed. She says that they want to open a workshop in the city, and he replies that that's why they're looking for a suitable location. He introduced himself as Toll and said that and had told him all the details and could also introduce him to officials of the Trade and Industrial Guild. One confirms that the property is located far from the city center, while the other believes that it is suitable for a workshop, rent, and convenience. Ruji and 2 companions approached the place and one of them said that they had arrived. He holds a stone in his hand and announces the beginning of the creation of the field, while 3 girls smile next to him. He proposes to create a new field using the technique of delivery, addressing 2 people listening to him. He asked what Ruji meant by a field using the delivery technique, and she responded in surprise that the field already existed. He and the others listen as one of the girls suggests a different way of putting it, causing her slight confusion. He asks if he can cast a spell on the field to make the vegetables grow more vigorously, and she thinks it's a good idea. He confidently said that everything was fine, standing outside among the trees. He pointed to a spot and said that this would be the perfect place. She smiles and summons furniture with magic, creating a magic circle and surrounding the objects with light. Ruji noticed the danger when she warned him about it, and then they discussed their plan of action together at the table. The girl with pointy ears says with a smile that everything is fine, and the other one looks at her happily. She demands to know what happened to Ruji's brother, claiming that he wouldn't have given up without a fight. They discuss that the brother did not leave of his own free will and did not leave them alone, expressing doubt in this version. He says the body has become weaker, she suggests retreating, and the other explains that they don't have a sublimation stone. He accuses her of always relying only on her brother, which is why they found themselves in a difficult situation. She says with surprise that the miser probably didn't want to reduce the team's profits, and therefore successfully expelled him. He explained that the leader had no other choice because of Marie's complaints, and she became indignant, asking if he was blaming her. He suggested that they get out quickly, fearing monsters, and she responded by calling him by name Minori. She confidently states that she knows, addressing the armored man standing before her. They announced that they were leaving the team, and one of them told the other to go with her. She asks what to do now, but he abruptly orders her to be quiet and curses under his breath. He was surprised by their appearance, and she explained that Guy and the others had made a mistake, which is why they had to retreat. She tells Gilmaz that no one ever underestimated the magic Ruji possessed and asks if he knew about it. The man asked about Game and the others, and she replied that they had been left in the dungeon, and Suzu and the team had left, after which he said that now was the time. She asks to read the letters here and now, and the man explains that Ruji left them before leaving the city and apologizes for the delay in delivery. The woman says that they are expected in Solstad and asks Minori to decide, to which she replies that they will go to her brother. Ruji woke up and stretched in bed, hearing Lana calling him to go outside, and was surprised, asking if it was really her voice. She, pointing to the side, calls loudly and asks everyone to look at the field. The woman asked what had happened, and the girl called for the two of them to go quickly, while 3 adults were standing on a path in the forest near the mountains. Ruji is surprised by the good effect, and one of the girls admires what she sees, standing with the others in front of the garden. He explains that he buried a magic stone with a spell for crop growth, and 2 listeners admire the rapid progress and call the spell magical. He says adventurers are fickle, and she offers to make breakfast since the opportunity arises. They ask Lana and Lena to pick vegetables, and one of them happily agrees. He said that the harvest was a success, and the children joyfully shouted, "Hooray!" 2 girls are carrying boxes of fruit, one of them is smiling, and Ruji is talking to them from next to the trees. 3 elves smiling and talking in the kitchen while holding kitchen utensils and plates. 2 elves look at the salad plates with surprise and joy, admiring the prepared food. 2 girls with closed eyes and a smile say that one is full and the other feels happy. He opened the door and she said with a smile that they were glad. The man says in surprise that the entire harvest is the effect of the stone they buried yesterday, and the girl happily greets him by the name Toll. She told him that they had just had breakfast and had picked a lot of vegetables thanks to Ruji's stone, to which he replied that it was great. He said that he was now calm, and the 2 girls replied that they were full and the food was very tasty. He asked in surprise what was happening, and the other replied that he couldn't say that it was all over. They explained that the magic stone promoted growth, but due to the uprooted roots and dry soil, the next harvest was impossible. She asks Ruji if there will be a way out, to which he replies that they need to find the ingredients in the forest first, and they can completely rely on them. He says that Lena won't be able to protect the soil and asks to give them a charmed stone, and one of the girls asks if they are sure. She explains that an alchemist's job involves making potions, so she needs to allocate a portion of the field to grow plants. He asked if anything could interfere with the plan, and she replied that they were not against giving up part of the field, but there was one problem. He explains that wild boars come here and expresses concern that they may damage the soil that they will give to Lena. Ruji explains that the problem will be easier to solve and talks about the soil in one corner of the field. The group stands in front of the grave, and one of them calls the found object a magic mud core stone. A giant creature of stone and liquid rises from the ground against the backdrop of a forest and a glowing circle. Ruji names the creature Spricken, and explains its duty to stand in the field and drive away people, animals, and monsters, to which it agrees. He confirms that alchemists can create golems and homunculi, and the elf is interested in the possibility of creating a golem using the magic of bestowal. She muses that if everything were that simple, there would be no need for alchemists. He told Tom that the problem with the field was solved, and Tom replied that he didn't even have time to blink. She says that now they will also help the girls and asks not to call him a hypocrite. He thanks them and says that he is personally proud of them. Ruji suggests entrusting part of the harvest to Lana and Lena so that the girls can more easily pick vegetables, and the adults assure them that the children will be able to help them in difficult times. He thanks for the help, and he says that he used to live a similar life to theirs. The two elves thank him, and Ruji discusses his future plans with the girl and asks what they need to do next. He wonders what to do next, and another man clarifies that it is impossible to enter the abandoned mine now. He explains that the mine is abandoned and difficult to extract, and she thanks Ruji for his help since the team's formation. She resolutely says that now she must also work to somehow help him. The woman panics and asks Ruji why it all happened this way, and he urges her to trust him. He and his companion are looking at the mountain. He says it's time to go to the mine. Ruji worriedly asks Lena if she is hurt, and she assures him that everything is fine, although she is internally worried about the deteriorating state of the earth. He asks why she went to a dangerous place after the earthquake and landslides, and she explains the risks and the abandoned nature of the mine. She explains that she came here to seize even the smallest opportunity, and her interlocutor reacts with surprise. He noted that, as she had said, there was great potential for zero harvest at the entrance to the ancient structure on the mountainside. He decided to go there despite all the risks, and she agreed with this decision. She promised to help Ruji and decided to try while he stood at the entrance to the dark room. He screams in horror, while the other reacts with fear to the words about the diamond magic stone. Ruji uses magic to stop the monsters, and she fearfully tries to help. He confidently says that the enemies will not be able to escape. He fights off the attack of the shadow creatures, after which the girl is surprised, and he calms her down, saying that everything is fine and she was just scared. He explained that ice ballet is a low-level magic that requires a lot of power and confirmed that it all depends on the staff. She asked if the staff was an ancient artifact, and he replied that a precious stone adorned the staff and enhanced the sage's magical power. He agreed that he would decide later what magic to transfer, and she suggested transferring the magic of delivery through a staff with a precious stone. He and she came to a fork in the cave where a hand with an eye showed the way. Ruji asked where they should go, and she replied that they should go deeper to the right, and there was a slightly open area to the left. She replied that it was a good question and suggested that they test it now using the magic perception spell. She explained that there were a lot of goblins on the left, and he suggested going left, relying on perception magic. He offers to take a reward for defeating the goblins, and she agrees to go with him. She asked Ruji about the route, and he replied that the map showed a dead end and there was nothing valuable there. He hopes to find something useful despite the decrease in production, and asks if the border lies here. He noticed light leaking through a crack in the wall and asked if there was a mistake on the map, and she called his name in surprise. Ruji warns about the possible collapse of the mine if the wall collapses, and she assures him to rely on her, calling upon the spirit of the earth. He was surprised, and she explained that she had melted the ground only around the wall where the light penetrated, and another character confirmed this. She talks enthusiastically about the new path that has emerged since the mine was abandoned, and he listens attentively. He praised Lena for the find, and she explained that the earthquake had caused new forks to appear, and the softness of the clay could contribute to this. She noted the unusualness of the route, to which Ruji agreed, confirming her words. He suggests that there may be a new or deposit ahead, and she is worried and hopes to bring good news to the guild. Ruji and she are standing in a crystal cave. He is looking around the space carefully, and she is holding his hand, feeling anxious. He smiles a little embarrassedly, and she asks in surprise if this is really so. He admitted that he had not expected such a good outcome, and she was surprised that there were such values here, despite the risks. Ruji ponders the possible monetary reward from the guild and admits that it exceeds his expectations. She calls upon the spirit of the earth to soften the ground beneath the goblin's feet for the mud strike attack. Ruji says everything is fine and calls for Lena to run when a monster attacks them. The villain screams that he will die of cold, and two people watch from the cave, reacting to what is happening. She asked if there was an entrance and exit, and he replied that he knew about it. She asked Ruji what the rock he threw at the boss meant, and he thought the breeze in the cave indicated the exit. He explains that the freezing stone from Saltstadt, when activated, emits light and turns the area into ice. She explains that because of the necklace's magic reflecting properties, the spell shouldn't have worked, and points out that he doesn't know everything about gift magic. Ruji explains that the magic of bestowal depends on witchcraft, and the interlocutor compares it to alchemy, after which he suggests going back inside. He suggests checking if there are any goblins left inside and removing the ice with flames to use the hot wave stone, since the freezing power has weakened. She noted with surprise that her interlocutor had many useful things, like an alchemist. Ruji noted that the monster was frozen and she was surprised that it worked, after which he said that they needed to collect the magic cores of the boss and the goblins. He said that she needed to make a sketch of the cave's interior on the map and return to the guild, to which she replied that she understood. A woman greets Ruji and Lena, asking about the mine's harvest, to which they respond that they have found a new vein of ore. He is surprised, and she explains that they made a sketch on the map and collected magic cores in the cave. She is surprised and asks if they encountered an army of goblins, and the other explains that they met a goblin hero and found a new ore vein. The crowd is discussing that someone has collected the goblins' magic cores and may have found an ore vein, asking if the two defeated them. He and she, with their staffs, are surprised when someone asks admiringly how they did it, and a group of people gathers around them. Ruji and she listen as the man says that if the ore vein is found, then Saltstadt can be reborn, and is surprised that they defeated strong monsters. He explains that he will first accept this as a result, showing a scroll and a bag. Ruji says the reward will be given later, and she asks if they have submitted an application for a team name, and they decide to take their time. He asked Lena if she had any idea, to which she replied that it was a good question. She smiled and explained that in the ancient language it meant masters, asking how he liked that option. He thanked her for her help and apologized for the hassle, and one of the women replied that she was grateful for completing a large study, and the process with the documents was completed. The woman explains that their work can revive the city and says that the guild's doors are always open, and the group thanks them for saving the city and hopes for them. Ruji said he was waiting for the Altina team again, and they exchanged fist bumps. He asked if she wanted to rest and what they would do tomorrow, to which she replied that she wanted to buy groceries, and then they needed to go to the market. Ruji greets Minori, noticing her long absence, and she explains that Suzu is delayed due to business. He asked if they knew each other, and she replied that they had gone on an errand together, and clarified that the letter had written about her acquaintance with the alchemist Lena. He was surprised by Marie's transfer to the Berserk team, and she smiled as she imagined how he took it. She thanks Ruji and says that she is heading to a new destination, and he replies that they have met people who are looking for him. They met those they had attacked in the forest, and one of them asked about it. He apologized for the sudden visit, and she asked not to worry and asked if they needed anything. Then he apologized for not being able to introduce himself earlier. She introduced herself as the first princess of this country and gave her name as Zatu Rafizan von Baystein. The woman said she had come with an errand for both of them, standing next to the man against a backdrop of trees. Ruji and another man asked Seta to trust them with the collection, and she is delighted by the large number of leaves collected. He praised Minori and asked her not to disclose the princess's secret mission, and she agreed, after which the other girl noted that they also needed to work hard. The group discusses whether the gift mage, born from the princess, will be able to demonstrate his true worth. Against a natural backdrop, two people are talking, and someone below politely asks, offering a cup of tea. Three people are talking at the table, one thanks, and the other assures that they are there secretly and there is no need to worry. Ruji says that the assignment he was given raises questions for him, and one of the women turns to Lady Tetsu. He said it was his initiative, but she replied that it was her request and asked to be allowed to explain everything to them, and he sheepishly agreed. He listens as the woman at the table warns that what she tells him must remain strictly between them. Ruji asked if they had heard and received confirmation that they would do as ordered, and one of them told about his father's illness and confinement to his bed. Three people discuss that the father of one of them is His Majesty the King. She explains that citizens have not yet been informed that he is currently suffering in bed. Ruji confirms that the assignment is medicine, and she asks if he understood correctly. The woman said that they called Dr. Routinger, but he did not understand the illness, and remembered the two of them, adding that they already know what to do next. Ruji understood the situation and asked, and the other man apologized to the woman named Setu. She apologizes and asks to describe the symptoms of the Majesty in detail in order to agree to treatment, and he agrees to help. He confirms that he understands, and the woman expresses concern that it is not an illness, causing the other woman to be confused and ask what exactly is meant. He explains that the symptoms do not indicate a disease, but a curse. She thought about it and asked if it could be a curse, and he replied that doctors couldn't cope. Perhaps Pasteur or adventurers would understand this. Ruji explains that the curse can be lifted using the magic of delivery, and the woman says that they need to hurry to the church and apologizes for wasting their time. He explains that the curse on His Majesty is not that powerful, and she asks if it is connected with the magic of the gift. He explains that they will be helped by a magic stone of curse removal, depicted against a background of mystical symbols and ghostly faces. He explains that he doesn't have the item he needs and needs to create a new one, and she asks how long it will take. He says decisively that everything you need can be collected in the forest behind the house if you devote the entire next day to gathering. She firmly stated that she understood and agreed. Ruji asked Lena how she was doing, and she replied that so far so good, then explained that behind those thickets there was a litter of wild boars that looked like slender boas. He explains that droppings can be used to identify a species. She warns not to inhale the odors, and he remarks that this is the scent of elves. The group discusses the odd name slender boa for the boar, noting its timid nature and nocturnal lifestyle, and suggests it may be nearby. Ruji asked if they had collected a lot, to which she replied that they had collected in excess and there would be no problems with materials for some time. He asks if clay is useful, and she explains that it is used by both alchemists and doctors, and this medicine is suitable for treating children's stomachs. Ruji thinks Dietrich is having a hard time until a woman offers the man something to try for his stomach ache, and he agrees. She said he would need one too, to which he replied that he thought so, standing by the cart with trees in the background. She asked everyone to stand still as she addressed the group. He asked Lena what happened, and she replied that she smelled a predator and blood. They found the body of the slender boa inside the thicket, and she clarified that it was his body. He speculates that, judging by the wounds, it was a huge predator, perhaps even a bear. The three discuss the boar's body and conclude that its wounds are too neat to have been caused by a bear, and that something doesn't add up. They noticed that someone had not yet finished eating, and he was preparing to attack the bear with a shield. Ruji pointed at the huge bear and noted its size as the group stood in front of it. She jumps and attacks the bear, then marvels at the strength of its body and wonders why it is so strong. Ruji is surprised that even Minori didn't help, and the girl explains that a normal predator would have been defeated the first time. He warns Mrs. Tsetu to leave, noticing that the bear has merged with another animal. The image shows the fusion of various animals into demons through alchemical synthesis, enhancing their abilities. Ruji is outraged by the release of the vile creature, and two elves discuss the help and dissatisfaction with the protection. They call upon magic and command fire arrows to burn the bear. Two mages cast spells simultaneously. One casts fire arrows, the other electric charge. Ruji warns that the beast fusion protects against magic, but still makes a direct attack on the creature. He suggests an idea, asking Dietrich to buy time for the magic of the presentation, and the others discuss what to do next. Ruji says he'll use sharpness, the girl orders Minori to aim for the enemy's hind legs, and the other one says she'll replace Dietrich in battle. He attacks the shadow with a scream, which responds with surprise and prepares for battle. Ruji calls out to Lena, who thanks him and orders Minori and Dietrich to leave as a menacing figure appears in the forest. The characters marvel at the power of the fire potion, enhanced by the magic of the whirlwind gift, as they watch the devastating effect. He said that last time there was an explosion when the forces combined, but he had to control the power so as not to injure the enemy, and she added that the effect of the fire potion would be enhanced. He screams, and the other one says that if the plan doesn't work, it will be enough to immobilize the target. He cast the spell Magic Sealing Stone, and said that this was his finishing touch, and she asked in surprise if it was a slime. He said it was a great plan, and she remembered that the stone Ruji had shown her earlier had a slime sealed inside it. He explains that one can simply cover the enemy's nose and mouth, so that he dies from lack of air while standing in front of a group of people in the forest. He explained that he had taken the magic core and didn't understand what it was doing to the alchemist, and then noted that testing it on the bear was a bad idea. Ruji says they need to notify the guild, but another member replies that they are busy creating a curse removal stone, and there is no time to go. He agrees to lend the diamond stone and offers to return to the creation of the stone, discussing the distribution of tasks with the others. Someone in front of the building said that we need to get down to business faster. Ruji agrees to start, and she says that she has everything prepared and offers to demonstrate the skills of an alchemist and a magician of the award. He smiles as he stands next to a woman explaining something at a table with lab equipment. Ruji said that there are enough materials, and if they start now, they will be done by evening. He told Lena that now was the time to demonstrate her skills as an alchemist and a magician of gifting, to which she happily agreed. He explains that a regular stone can be turned into a magical one, showing the process of cutting and adding fire using a catalyst. He explains that in the second stage, the whetstone is used to give the basic shape and enhance the stone with its magic. He explains that the third stage is polishing the stone to give it a small shape and an overall glossy appearance. Ruji explains that the stone can be used as a powerful magic stone, while another asks if polishing is necessary after cutting and shaping. He explains that each stage brings the stone to perfection, and not a single one can be skipped, otherwise the power will not come out properly. He explains the importance of creating a magic stone to remove curses and asks how powerful it can be made, after which the other confirms his readiness. He explained that the catalyst and stone needed to be placed in a heat-resistant place. Ruji said that they were now adding fire, and another noticed that the catalyst plants had wilted. He explains that he has put power into the stone and completed the creation, after which the stone will undergo cutting, shaping, and polishing. Ruji confirmed to Lena that he had enhanced her potion with magic, and she agreed to let him know when it was ready. He asked Lena what she was making, and she replied that it was a potion to restore physical strength. She explains that even after the curse is removed, fatigue and weakness will remain, but you can try to help with a potion. A woman explains the process of creating a tonic medicinal herb, while two listeners marvel at the potion's effectiveness and its ingredients. He noted that familiar medicinal herbs inspire confidence, and she agreed and added that this herb is sometimes put in tea. Ruji explains that a long production will begin, and the interlocutors express admiration for the craftsmanship and ask not to worry while waiting for the completion. He stands with his hand on his belt, and she says that they bow and express hope for help. Ruji and the girl confidently declare that they can be relied upon. He carefully studies the device, and she is engaged in alchemical experiments and says that the reaction of the substance needs to be checked. She holds the bottle carefully, and he says it's ready as he pours the drink into the glass. She praised Ruji for his work. He responded with gratitude and agreed to enhance the potions with his gifting magic. He said it looked promising, and she replied that she had only prepared this. Ruji apologized for the wait, asked if they were finished, and confirmed that everything was ready. She was surprised by the beauty of the curse-removing stone, and he confirmed that it was indeed very beautiful. He explains that a magical stone of dazzling beauty will surely cleanse His Majesty's curse. Ruji explains that using the stone is easy, just put magical power into it, and she understands and notices how it immediately activates. He handed over the potion and explained that it simply needed to be drunk, turning to the other two characters. She explains that Ruji enhanced the effect with healing magic, and the other thanks her for her help. She offers to spend the night with them, warning that they might be attacked by bandits or something worse on the way, and he replies that it is too late. Ruji and the others thank him for his kindness when Minori suddenly appears, and someone exclaims that it is Ruji's brother. He and the girl listen as another woman angrily says that she is not going to tolerate their interference. Ruji is surprised by the letter and asks if it is Suzu's handwriting, to which they both look at with concern. He holds a note asking for help, looking at it carefully against the dark texture. A cart pulled by two horses is being driven along a road in the forest. He blames himself for what happened, and she consoles him and asks him not to blame himself. Ruji admits that it was his decision to leave and explains that Minori hasn't been awake since last night. He reflects on overestimating his rival's capabilities and explains that he chose a different path, and she confirms that she thought the same thing. He holds the letter and reflects that it indicates the possibility and emergence of an unexpected situation. He thoughtfully lowered his head onto his crossed arms, thinking that Minori also understood and felt a great responsibility. She says they don't know what's going on with Suzu and they need to go to the scene quickly, wondering if she stayed there after the letter from Behemoth. Ruji said that they left Mrs. Zadie and went on the road, and the woman replied that it would be better to hurry to search if it was urgent. He explains that they can't ride the horses, but they can prepare them or ride in a cart in the morning, and she offers to give them something in return. He asks what it is, and the other explains that it is a written invitation with the seal of the royal family. He advises to stop by the royal capital if you are heading to Behemoth. Ruji is surprised when Lena thanks him for his support and offers him food, explaining that Minori has no appetite. She warns Minori that at this rate his strength will disappear while he sits on his knees. He says that the teacher advised her to sleep well and eat well, and she agrees and starts eating. Ruji explains that tears make the taste salty while those sitting nearby listen to him. They are riding in a carriage, discussing their approach to the kingdom's borders and the time it will take to reach Behemoth, when suddenly someone shouts at them to stop. A crowd of people asks in surprise what is going on, noticing something unusual near the cart. A group of people have discovered a mountain collapse that has completely blocked a road and are discussing the fact that they are now unable to travel and how this will affect their plans. Ruji asks to get rid of the problem, and she says that they will have to walk, and adds that there is no time to wait for everything to be cleared up. He explains that they will remove the rocks from the road using a strength-enhancing stone rather than carrying them by hand. A girl with long dark hair is determined to save Suzu from a difficult situation, and another person calls her name. Ruji and the other two are standing together and she asks where Minori went. He demands an answer to his question, and she reads a magic book and asks not to break into her room without permission. He yells at her in rage, and she calmly informs him that Minori has left the city and offers to leave if that's all. He asked the man sitting there whether he had actually declared himself the leader of the group and noted that the team was originally with his brother, and the rest had joined by force. She says that both his sister and brother have always corrected his mistakes and advises him to remember who he is. He slammed the table hard and she looked at him in surprise. She exclaimed that it was not her book, after which the blindfolded man hit her, leaving her with blood on her face. He grabbed the girl by the collar and demanded that she keep her arrogance to herself, calling her a slut. She screams at Guy to stop and says that there is no need to let it get to this point while he is holding back the pain with blood on his face. He shouts, blaming her for everything, and she looks worried and remains silent. He demands to be taken to Minori and states that he does not accept the departure of his interlocutor from the team. She says with a serious expression that leaving the team is everyone's business, and he says from behind that he and his sister have already submitted an application to the guild. He calls out to Sean, who asks with a grin what that means. He orders another room to be rented at the inn and threatens to continue to bully Minori until she tells him where he is. She sits tied up in a closed room and wonders how much time has passed since she was brought here and that she cannot see the view outside. She admitted that she had again not followed the teacher's advice because she had become engrossed in the magic book and wished to sleep well and eat well. She thinks that she would not lose to a sudden blow from Guy, and understands that she needs to act while she has strength, as her body is beginning to weaken. He noticed that no sounds were heard and thought about it. She announces that now, while there are no guards, she will copy her own body. He says the word imitation against a backdrop of abstract lines and squares. She thinks the lines are too weak for serious work, and advises writing a letter so that Guy and the others won't see it, and then taking it to Ruji's brother and Minori's sister. She asked in surprise if anyone had left, noticing that the door had closed, and then quickly walked down the corridor. She says with her eyes closed that all that remains is for them to get it. Ruji urgently asked Ilman to answer an important question, clarifying the veracity of the information 10 days after arriving in Solstad. He asked if they knew where Suzu was now, and the man was surprised and asked if they had returned yet. He says something happened to her, and she turns to Ruji, trying to get his attention. He exclaimed, "Damn!" and he looked in surprise at the group of people in front of him. Ruji asked in surprise, not recognizing Sean and noting his current appearance. He heard an order to follow the speaker, and the two next to him watched what was happening in surprise. He says with tension that he thinks he has figured out where she might be. Ruji said he had a tip while standing in the hallway with the doors closed. They said that one person saw a tied-up Suzu and Sean leaving a hotel room. He says that the guild should not interfere in adventurers' disputes without reason, but if it is a family dispute, that is a different matter. He said he asked the reception how to respond to the tip and decided to check everything himself, since Sean's reaction confirmed its veracity. They discussed that Suzu is most likely tied up in this room. Ruji and his companions try to call Suzu, but when they open the door, they find her unconscious on the floor. They ask Suzu with concern, and in response they hear that she is just sleeping. One woman apologizes to Suzu and says that she shouldn't have left her, while the other remarks that Suzu is exhausted and needs to be given something to eat. A man at the door shouts at those who entered, demanding an explanation for intruding without permission. He said Maurice's name with anxiety, and she responded, addressing Lelina with excitement. Ruji called Guy by name, and he demanded that he leave his room immediately. The swordsman mockingly asked if the third-rank mage wanted to fight him, noticing the strange expression on his interlocutor's face. He remains silent, and Ruji accuses him of judging people by their rank and profession, warning him not to irritate him with empty talk. He stands with his arms outstretched between two armed men ready to fight. He warns Guy that he will demote him to the second rank if he makes a fuss again. Gilmas demands an explanation from the man, who says he is not guilty, and the woman asks how he will explain Suzu's presence in his room. Ilman says that he can't be trusted, and the other man replies that he won't listen to him no matter what he says. He thoughtfully suggests doing something in a certain way. Ruji ordered both of them to go outside, looking resolutely at his interlocutor. He stated that he would be an observer and announced that the fight would take place. The two are worried and ask Suzu if she is awake, but she has difficulty answering. He barely remembers that he used to go on errands with Minori, his sister, and Lena. She asked where she was and was told that she was at the training field behind the guild, where Guy and Ruji would have a duel at Ilman's suggestion. She explains that the guild resolves issues publicly to prevent conflicts, and if he wins, he will resolve everything peacefully. He raises his hand and says that he will now announce the conditions again. He announces the terms of punishment and compensation in the event of Ruji's victory, as well as restrictions for him and Minori and Suzu's activities in Team Berserk. They agreed to the terms and conditions, confirming this at the same time. He is in a fighting stance with a sword and shield, declaring that it is time to beg for mercy. He tells Guy with a serious expression that he is pathetic and should not lose heart at being demoted to the second rank. He announces that the duel is open and the two men prepare to fight while the others watch with tension. He explains that if they win, Minori and Suzu will continue to operate in Team Berserk, while Ruji will be banned from entering Behemoth and demoted. He asks if both parties agree to the terms. Ruji and Guy agree to begin the duel, with Ruji warning Guy not to lose heart when he is caught before the second rank. He runs quickly towards a knight with a sword and shield in a large hall with high vaults. He fights an opponent who is knocked back by a sword strike in a confined space in the rain. He threatens his opponent, warning that it will hurt if he hits him, and the opponent swears in response and demands that he not run away with small jumps. He says that there are many useless moments in the interlocutor's movements and advises to follow Minori's example. He gets angry and says that it irritates him, and others discuss the amount of 500 gold pieces and wonder where he got so much money. Ruji agrees and suggests discussing the other team members as the two listen to his words with serious expressions. He demands money from Marie, who protests, and another man advises Guy to show sincerity before asking. He warns that he will not recognize the money unless Ruji's condition is met, and then the opponent's rules will become invalid. He asks Marie and Sean to lend him money, asking them to. He asked in surprise about the leader, and she replied that she understood. He is in armor with a sword and shield in his hand and swears, expressing irritation and anger. Ruji stated that he couldn't lose to a third-tier mage while fighting with a sword. He noticed that he was angry and ordered to use fire arrows to attack the enemy at the most opportune moment. He is surprised that magic of this level did not affect him, and the other wonders if he reacted to the blow. He says that it is good to put on airs, but the interlocutor's movements remain clumsy while they stand in combat readiness. Ruji offered to take off his heavy armor with a smile, and the other man reacted with fear to his words. He orders him to shut up, but he thinks about his fighting abilities and prepares a magical attack to break through the swordsman's defense. He delivers an electric shock and Ruji screams in pain, defending himself with his shield. He noticed that something was wrong and thought that the attack was the same as with the arrows, but he did not react to this one. Ruji commands all information about someone to be revealed by using a magic circle and saying the word evaluation. He is in a fighting stance with a sword, preparing to attack, with graphs and pie charts displayed in the background. He muses that his magical attack is not working and wonders if it is because of Maria, noticing that the opponent only has a sword with magical power. Ruji asks if he's using resistance, and the other armored man reacts with surprise. He accuses Gaius of desecrating the sacred battle, but he denies it and says that another man is slandering him. He said that the battle was still going on, turning to Guy. Ruji challenged the third-rank mage, claiming that without it he couldn't win, and delivered a powerful blow, causing his opponent to make a sound of pain. He accuses the other of narcissism and states that without his help, he will not be able to reach the highest rank. He asks in horror what force is defeating him and why he is losing. He is furious and perplexed by the demotion to the second rank and the compensation of 500 gold, considering it a mockery. He says that a useless in battle mage of the handing cannot have such power, and the other agrees and calls him cunning. He nervously admits that now there is an opportunity to explain, and says that the interlocutor was very much mistaken all this time. Ruji explains that he is a support mage and can't be expected to do the same as Suzu and Minori. He admitted that he never said that he couldn't fight while experiencing internal tension. He explained that the intervention of inexperienced people in the battle only hinders, and offered to support the two with his magic, which would be wiser. He recalls that he was only seen in this form and considered himself insignificant, and then sharply attacks another character whom he insults. He reacts in surprise to the sudden explosion in the arena, not understanding what happened. Ruji notices the smoke and asks if it was Marie's doing, while the others are surprised and discuss the smoke that appeared. He said that such a dirty smokescreen method could only be done by Sean, addressing another character in the smoke. An angry man yells at Ruji to die, and Ruji calmly deflects the attack and clenches his fist. He fights with the enemy, and he says in amazement, "What?" He kicked sharply, while the other watched with surprise and tension. Ruji delivers a powerful blow to his opponent, who cries out in pain. He stands amidst the destruction, watching the falling debris and assessing the situation. Ruji is declared the winner, and one of the girls addresses him as a brother. He apologizes to Suzu and admits that he shouldn't have left her in the first place. He reassures her that everything is fine since she went separately from Minori. Ruji explains that he used Fural's magic stone to destroy the cliff, and she is surprised by the strength of his punch. He explains that the magical stone gift is a divine intercession from the god of war, Fural, which enhances physical abilities even when there is nothing in the hands. He explains that the magic stone is similar to Pebble and requires empty hands, and she is surprised that this is really the magic of giving and calls Guy. He said he couldn't wait any longer, and she turned around when she heard his words. She looks forward silently, without saying a word. He proposed creating a 4-person team called Altina. He suggests they rest. She agrees and asks how Suzu is feeling, who replies that she received effective medicine and is fine. She suggested going to the castle town, adding that Mrs. Tsetu had given them an invitation. Ruji agreed with her and she suggested heading there, and the others supported their decision. The winner goes to the royal capital of Rautinger. He complained of being tired from walking, and she replied that they were almost there and they needed to be patient for a little while. She happily announced that they were there. Ruji says with surprise that this is what was discussed. He was surprised to learn that this was the royal capital of Rautinger. Ruji walks down the street with a group of people, heading to a new location with a reinforced party. He is surprised, and the 2 girls praise Suzu and Lena, calling them cute and noting that they look good on them. She thanked him, explaining that she had decided to try something new by talking to another girl. One asks when the other will leave the fitting room, and the other asks for another minute, explaining that she doesn't often wear skirts. The 2 are discussing a lively situation with a girl behind a curtain, while he silently watches from the side. Ruji feels like he can't calm down in a women's clothing store, feeling like he doesn't belong there. He politely asks if he can go to another store if the girls here haven't finished yet. They discuss how he hasn't picked out clothes for them yet, and one of the girls calls him a fool. Ruji watches silently with concern as people go about their business in the cafe below. They are at the table, and one of the girls tells him that one can't get tired of this, although women's shopping takes a long time. Ruji said he experienced this personally while sitting at a table with another person in a cafe. He says that the girls spent 3 hours shopping for clothes and can't explain why they say beautiful about everything, and one of them turns to him. She suggests finishing altering the clothes by the morning and changing them right away, and he agrees with this plan. They discuss that the main thing is to look happy, and one of them offers the other to try a delicious dish, to which she agrees. He notices that the female circle is becoming more and more united, and feels that with the increase in the number of girls this feeling is intensified. He thoughtfully asked whether he would be able to continue to live in this circle, and his interlocutor replied that the same thing was happening with Saltstadt and that the delivery of goods would be restored once the port was open. He was surprised by the name Saltstadt, and the 2 men discussed how the only mine was now useless, although a vein had been found there. Several people discussed the king's plans for the invasion and Marquis Reichner's priorities for rebuilding the port. The speaker explains that they want him to prioritize the development of the Marquis Reichner's territory. Ruji reflects on the mine case becoming more and more known. He thoughtfully asked about the delivery of goods, without receiving an answer. Ruji announced that the letter of recommendation had been checked and invited the Altina team members to come inside. He said thoughtfully as the group walked down the arched corridor. Ruji and his companions introduced themselves as the guests who created the magic stone and the medicine for recovery, and the muscular man greets them and recognizes them. The man with long hair introduced himself as George Roche von Bastein and the king of this country. The 4 characters are shocked, and he asks in surprise if this is really His Majesty. Ruji says that it is an honor for them, and the presentation mage asks to leave formalities, explaining that he owes them his life. The group is surprised that they didn't even go to the audience with the king, and the man asks if they are feeling well and thanks them. He said that the curse had disappeared, his strength had returned thanks to the medicine, and that was why he had been training hard. Ruji is surprised to learn that they are the creators of the magic stone, and Gothard introduces himself as the head of the knightly order. He thanked her for helping the young warriors, and she modestly replied that it was natural to help them. He expresses his gratitude as a representative of the knightly order, and the two men agree to escort the guests to the reception room. The man said he would call Tsetu now, the woman apologized for the wait, and several people gathered in the room to talk. Ruji received the remaining reward and asked to check it, and the woman explained that they would start with this first, expressing gratitude. She introduced herself as Sita, and he addressed her with respect, while the third listened to their conversation. Ruji is surprised that there is much more here than they discussed, and she explains that it is an extra charge. He said that he asked for a magic stone to be created to remove the curse, which showed better results than expected. She thanked him for taking care of her father's condition and for the medicine he had given her, and he noted that, moreover, she explains that the bonus is proper compensation for kindness. He says his father has become more energetic, but it's uncomfortable while she sits on the couch and covers her face with her hand. Ruji apologizes and says that the reward is enough, and she explains that they want to thank them additionally and not disturb them during the audience. He and four others are sitting in a room, and one of the girls says that he has done a lot for them. The king ordered the two people standing before him in the hall with high windows and knightly armor to stand up and raise their heads. He introduced himself as the magician of Ruji's gift, and she as the alchemist of Lena. He thanked for the creation of the magic stone that removed the curse from him and for the medicine. He says it gave him his strength back. Ruji says it's an honor for them, and she thanks them for their great help. He thought that the situation with the ending had turned out badly. She was surprised, and the king said that his daughter had already rewarded them and expressed gratitude. Ruji urges her to pull herself together and asks her to express her wishes, to which the woman replies that her father is ready to fulfill any request. He asked her if she had anything in mind, and she replied that she only thought about small requests and did not know what to ask of His Majesty. Ruji politely asked permission to ask Mrs. Tsetu a question, who was listening attentively to him while sitting on the sofa. She agrees to help and asks what they want to know, and he confirms that it is not a problem. Ruji thinks about achieving his goal, and she says she only has one request. He asks for help in restoring the port in Saltstadt, and another man reacts to his request with surprise. Ruji wonders who Elmer is, who believes that the people should not interfere in politics, and the king argues with him, talking about the importance of the people's opinion. He reflects on the fact that his statement could harm the chancellor's position and notes that the latter's opinion coincides with the king's. Ruji heard that his wish could not be fulfilled solely at the discretion of the speaker in this place. He acknowledges that the desire initially exceeds reasonable limits and accepts it as a given, realizing that it cannot be satisfied. The king promises to do everything possible to fulfill the request of a resident of his country. He noted that Lena should not worry about the speech error, and she embarrassedly replied that it was not worth talking about, after which he praised their work. They praised everyone for their efforts and suggested that they have a good time that evening, informing them that dinner was ready. He asked if they were coming and received an affirmative answer. The prisoner asks to be released, and one of those standing at the door warns Minori that the noise will only make the situation worse. Two people discuss the possibility of executing their friend for treason, but after the uproar they decided not to. One of the women insists that she is fine, while the other denies cheating on Lena, saying that she would not have done such a thing. Ruji reflects alone, admitting they were tricked and deciding not to dwell on it for now. He said that first we need to get out of here, thinking about the unexpected arrest and trap. A group of people discuss the events of the previous night in a hall with columns, while a castle is visible outside the window in the light of the full moon. Ruji sighed in relief as he sat on the edge of the bed in the luxurious room. He considers that formally everything is done and notes that they have gained more than they have lost, while others talk about the prepared room and the importance of meeting with the king. Ruji lies down and thinks that he needs to somehow thank Minori, Suzu, and Ryona. He is sleeping and the sign says that this happens later. Ruji hears a strange metallic sound at night and wonders why it is happening at this time. He suddenly runs out of the room and then fights two cloaked opponents, repelling their attacks. He offers to help, and the two knights thank him and explain that it is a gift from Alton's squad. Ruji delivers a powerful blow to the enemy while casting the spell Magic Stone Fural. He notices the golem and explains that it can be stopped by destroying the core, trying to dodge the creature's attack. Ruji decides to reach the core while the guard is distracted and, having knocked down the enemy, uses the Magic Stone Fural. He tells Minori that it's in her stomach area and she says she understands. He attacks the enemy with force, causing them to fall backwards, destroying the wall and causing an electric discharge. Two knights in armor discuss being knocked down while standing in an arched corridor. He said it worked great, but she responded by apologizing for being late. She explained that Roan had not regained consciousness, and he had been listening attentively. He explains that he is holding a synthetic magical core in his hand, created through alchemy. They discuss that the synthetic magic core is the same as the one in the recent bear. The woman informed Ruji that the invader was not an outsider, and they discussed that the scene was most likely inside the castle. A group of knights in armor stand in front of one of them, preparing for battle or an order. Ruji and his companions were detained on suspicion of committing the incident, and were named the Altina Four. He asked in surprise what had happened. Ruji demands an explanation from Chancellor Stern, who and his guards call their plan insidious and outrageous. He asks the knights standing at the door if they were the ones causing all this commotion, and one of the women looks surprised. Ruji says that blaming someone just because they are an alchemist is too hasty, while the others discuss the creation of the golem core and blame the elf. He reported that the very core that was used in the golem was found in the elf's room. He claims that the core is a fake and that Renee couldn't have it, and she says that there is no more room for alchemists, but she sighed with relief because of the golem prepared by Ruji. He asked if they could create golems, to which she replied that they couldn't in that sense. The elf explains that golems are convenient, but elves do not seek to infuse life into objects, and he says that it is typical for elves to honor the laws of nature. He said that everyone was in the same boat and needed to compensate for each other's weaknesses, and she replied that she was glad to hear it and thanked him. Ruji gritted his teeth and said that there was no way to prove their innocence now. He asked to be quiet, and she explained that the core did not belong to Ryona, turning to Minori. He warns that this will result in the death penalty, but will be limited to expulsion from the capital, and advises to behave calmly until some of the things are returned. He addresses Chancellor Stern by pronouncing his name. He asked whether the king and Princess Cecilia were aware of this matter, addressing a group of people standing on either side of the wall. He says that their majesties were deeply disappointed, and he replies that he understood and thanks. He sits in the corner, thoughtfully touching his chin, and she pressed herself against the wall, lowering her head and hugging her knees. One of the women asked Minori if she felt the same, to which Minori answered by her name. They discussed the rarity of Ruji's reaction and Ryon's importance to him, deciding they can't let it go unnoticed. One of the girls calls Ryon and says that she is not guilty of anything, supporting Minori. Suzu asks Ruji if he has a plan and he agrees, suggesting they get out of here first. He was asked to mentally contact Princess Cecilia, and he agreed to try. He explains that the magical barrier is being suppressed and suggests simply increasing the power, and the girl asks what they will do next. He proclaims that he will reach a level where interference does not work, holding a glowing magic circle in his hands. Two worried people run into the room and ask if everything is okay.